Hello.
How about now? Test, test.
We
Awesome.
can. Hello.
Hi.
How are you? It's
I'm doing well. How are you?
good. Thank you. I'm so excited for this.
I am too. I've been ready to do this all week.
It's not going to be pretty, but I'm so excited to show my family and friends what I have. Like, just, remember, I'm new here.
Yeah, well, that's exactly what I'm hoping to give you this week is something that you can share with family and friends. That's exactly it. It's the one homework we have this week is
Yeah, to put stuff up online.
yeah, exactly.
Wonderful.
I'm going to test real quick that I can screen share. So I don't know if I've done that on this computer yet.
I'm going to mute myself so I can eat dinner.
Okay, looks like I can. Just gonna give people about 5 minutes to 3 or 5 minutes to trickle in. Latonia, good to see you. Haven't seen you in a while.
Yeah, you too. How have you been?
Doing well. How are things with you? How's your coding journey?
Good. It's still busy. Things have been good. Yep.
What's your go-to programming language right now?
And still JavaScript. Yeah, I'll keep that as my primary. So.
Very cool.
All right. My setup's a little weird, so it's gonna look like I'm not looking at people just because my screen is like over, but hopefully it's okay.
Sure.
Is the outline for this class up, or are we not gonna go by an outline?
The outline for every class is up. It's on Canvas. I will also paste in chat. I will paste a link.
He hasn't shared it with us on Canvas. He's doing it day by day.
Oh, okay. Well, here's day one. Yeah, I have to be honest. I'm not sure I know a whole lot about Canvas, so I'll kind of be leaning on Latonia to help me manage that. But if you need any resources, like I have a set of slides here as well. These are in the outline. But if you need anything that I'm presenting on my screen, please feel free to just ask, and I'll share it. It really doesn't bother me to paste those links. Do I have anybody that's working from their garage today? Anybody that got kicked out to the garage for class? Nobody? All right.
No, that's great. Why?
Yeah, I've got 2 kids under 2 years old, so I had to kick myself out into the garage.
No, I hide upstairs. One of the bedrooms is an office.
Oh, nice.
It's good. And the office keeps getting cleaner and cleaner during our breaks.
Yeah, I guess I'll have to keep track and see if I made the garage progressively cleaner this week, or if I'm gonna make it probably more of a mess. Kind of person I am.
Hi to everybody else. I miss you.
All right, let's go ahead and get started. I am going to set an order in Slack real quick. Okay, I think we're all in order now. Okay. So just so you know, if you check in Zoom chat, there's 2 links. There's a link to the outline for the things that we'll try to cover today, and then there's also a link to the slides. The slides we're going to use all week long. So this link right here, which I believe I've already pasted, I will paste one more time because it looks like I'm the only one in here right now. But feel free to just watch Zoom if you want to take time and visit slides on your own or read ahead. You're also welcome to do that with the slides. And with that, let's go ahead and jump right in. So I'm going to start by introducing myself. My name is Nathan Evans. I am a software engineer by trade. I've been programming, well, getting paid to program for about 10 years. About 5 years ago, I took a detour into DevOps and found out that I really loved it, or not past tense, present tense. I found out that I love it, and I continue to find new and exciting things to do in the DevOps SRE space, site reliability engineering space. And I am currently at Datadog. Datadog is just a synthetics and monitoring company. I say it's just a synthetics and monitoring company. If you want to check them out, they got way more. I'm doing a terrible Datadog sales pitch right now. But anyways, that's kind of the gist about me. I'm also one of the only instructors that is not in New York. I worked for a company called Density for a little while. That's how I got roped in to the Syracuse area and got involved with the program. Going to turn it over to my colleague Latonia to talk about herself.
Hello, folks. I am a graduate of the 2nd cohort of Careers in Code. I had the benefit of having Nathan as one of the first people to teach me how to code, and he's awesome at it. Because of the experience I went through with them, I got to a place where I felt like, yeah, this is something I can actually do. And I love this module because, just like I think Jennifer said, you can share it with the world, which I think is like one of the best parts is that you can like see it live on the web. So I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to answer any questions if you have any. So yeah, thanks for having me here.
Excellent. All right, before I jump into the next slide, I'm going to stop sharing and I'm going to make sure that we have an order set. I'm going to push you after me, Latonia. So I want to take a second because I did not get to go to the kickoff and I have not met any of you. So I wanted to quickly go around and have people introduce themselves. And also, I would like to know what you, very briefly, because we've got stuff to get to, but very briefly, tell me what your favorite thing from the class so far has been. And we'll start with the top ideas.
Hi, my name is Alba Diaz. I've what I like is I've learned a lot of stuff about coding and actually implementing it and actually how to structure it, the syntax and everything else. So I had taken some courses for certifications through the EOC Center, but I was doing it by myself. So I didn't know if I was doing it properly. So actually having somebody there to tell me if I am doing it correctly or not has been the best process so far, knowing that I am doing it correctly and actually implementing it and seeing it myself.
Excellent. Commander, I think you're next.
Did you say my name?
Yeah, I believe you're next. Latonia, do you see the same order that I do? No?
No,
Oh,
I think it's going to be specific to your device. So maybe call each person or have them popcorn to each other.
okay. Schneider, can you go next, please?
Oh, I am next. All right. Well, hi Nathan. My name is Schneider. My favorite thing about this boot camp so far is similar to hers, and where I'm seeing I'm having a guidance, I guess you can say, with what I'm learning instead of learning on my own. So yeah, that helps me make sure I know what I'm doing.
Excellent.
Go see mom.
Bobby?
I'm Bobby. My favorite thing, I guess, is just kind of just learning the skill in itself of, coding. It's always something that I've had an interest in. So learning about it now and actually how to implement it is something that sticking with me.
Excellent. Jennifer, you're next on my screen.
Yes, hi. It's amazing that I'm learning something I've never done before. It's completely new, fresh, an entirely new way of thinking. And I'm really very happy, really thrilled I'm doing this.
Awesome. Nyasia?
Yes, hi, I'm Naisha. My favorite thing is just seeing, I don't know, the product of what we do after we code and seeing like the websites that we can make and stuff. So that's my favorite part so far.
So, Kali?
Hi, my name is Kalai. So as Jennifer said, it's like I'm in the science background. I want to learn more about JavaScript so that I can implement on Python, and learning this under the guidance of, several TAs, and you guys are awesome. So thank you.
Perfect. Brian?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, my name is Brian Hill. I would say the greatest part about the class so far is similar to Alba. I've taken courses like self-taught courses before, and specifically HTML and CSS. I did not like them at all because just to sum it up, I didn't feel like it was as easy as I felt like it was supposed to be. But like specifically just using a framework like Bootstrap has like just really given me a whole new appreciation for the front end side of things, and it's just given me just more encouragement to get in the full stack, because I really didn't like front end before, but I've got a new appreciation for it. So yeah.
Cool. Brandon, you're next.
Hi, I'm Brandon Furs. And for me, my favorite part of the program so far has been, like learning something one day and then looking at like different websites and stuff later, and then seeing like, oh, like being able to apply what we learn in, as little as we've learned so far, being able to apply that and see how it's done in the real world, and like the different ways that you're just like, huh, how did they do that? And gets the brain thinking,
Cool. Artrell?
Hey, I'm Martrell, and Brandon pretty much just said what I was going to say. I appreciate when I look at websites now, have an idea of like, oh, that's a column, that's a div, kind of knowing what the nuts and bolts of these things really are, and just let me know like how much more I have to learn, because I'll randomly go on a page and I'll do the inspect and I'm like, don't know that, I understand that, You know what I mean? And yeah, just and having the aha moments, because I've had a lot of frustrating moments so far, but the aha moments I appreciate the most.
Make up for it. Perfect. Torres?
Hello, my name is Torres Browser. So far, I love that we learned HTML and CSS. What little we've learned so far, I feel like I have a pretty good understanding of it, and it's just I enjoy being able to see the results of my work. And I feel like I have a pretty good understanding of websites now, and it's cool to see websites now. I feel like I can possibly code it myself at this, at least the home page or certain pages at this point. So that's cool.
Cool. Kieran?
Hi there, my name is Karen Ritchie. Oh boy, where do I start? The one thing that I do love about this class is that not even having a background in technology, I have a background, of course, in cosmetology. Just the resources, the amount of resources that you're able to implement in order to learn even more about the procedure of creating your code. So I like that there's an influx of resources that you're able to do some more research and get some more practice with your coding as well. And I also like that we're all learning in a small class, and everyone is very supportive of each other, and very, very nice. So
cool.
That's what I love.
Thank you. Exona, you're muted right now.
Even better. Hi, my name is Exona. I am literally dressed as the it clown. The one thing that I love about this course is literally seeing like the results of the code itself, and having such a group of people that are literally willing to help you at any time of the day, to make sure that you are successful in this program. And I do love HTML and CSS, which I never thought I would be able to do, because I don't have any background knowledge at all. So that's pretty much it.
Nice, thank you. I believe Ayub.
Yeah. Hello, my name is Ayub Ali. The two things I love about this class is, one, the small class environment and how we could ask questions to the teacher or the TAs directly. And the second thing is with the languages we are about to learn, or we learned, the endless opportunities and so many paths you can take, whether it's in cloud or iOS or front end or back end, and it's just endless opportunity. So that's very cool.
Awesome. And last, Jordan.
I'm sorry, I wasn't in here in the beginning because I was in a meeting with Jason. What was the question that we are answering? Sorry.
Favorite part of the class so far?
My favorite part of the class so far is how structured it is, because I like the fact that I'm actually picking up on it. I thought I was going to be completely lost when I started this course and I wasn't going to understand like anything at all, but I've been doing pretty well, and I really, really enjoy the pacing and the structure of it.
Cool. Well, thank you all for answering my question and introducing yourselves, and also letting me figure out how to pronounce everyone's names. All right, I'm going to switch back to share my screen. Okay. So this week we're talking about DevOps. DevOps is kind of a side branch of the software engineering curriculum that all of you have been going through. This picture that you're looking at right now is sort of a smattering of the different technologies that DevOps concerns itself with. We're going to be looking at one very specific technology this week. Well, sorry, two very specific technologies, but very related. And the specific technology we're going to be talking about this week is Git. But I'm kind of jumping ahead, so let me back up for a second. Has anyone heard of DevOps before? Anybody know of anyone that is in the DevOps space? Anybody have an idea of what it is without having looked it up?
The combination of development and operations.
Yep, exactly. Yep. So there's a couple of examples because DevOps is kind of a loaded term. It means a lot of different things to people, but at its purest, it's exactly what you said. It's kind of the marriage of these two disciplines. Whereas, you know, all of you are familiar with the with the development side of things, the software development side of things, because that's what you've been practicing. So you think of software engineers, they have this great development background. They know how to write websites, code new apps, do front-end development, back-end development. They know how to do things like fix bugs or work with product managers, develop new features. They know how to write tests that make sure that their code is correct. And so that's the world that everyone here in this room is familiar with, or is practicing to be familiar with. There's another realm, which is operations, and I'm sure there's got to be people in this room that know that know people that are in the IT industry. So people that either work in tech support or work in the IT department at certain companies. And when I say IT, I'm talking about things like server administration, budgeting for the number of the number of computers that are needed by the business. Other things like examples of operations would be things like securing the network, maintaining things like firewalls, routers, and then of course there's one really critical piece of operations, which is the deploying of code to the server. So everybody in this room should be pretty familiar with the idea of software development because you're living it right now and you're practicing it. I'm here this week to introduce you to some of the operations side. And this culmination of these two disciplines is DevOps. So I don't want to bore people, and I want to incentivize the right kind of people to be listening and paying attention this week. And the kind of person that's going to get the most out of this week is the kind of person that is entrepreneurial or a self-starter or is interested in doing things themselves, specifically in the context of a business. You know, if you as a software developer, when you graduate, if you go and get a job at a startup, and I'm talking like in the single digits, like maybe there's only a couple of people at that startup. If you go and join a startup, you're going to need to know pretty much everything that I teach you this week, and you're going to need to know it pretty well. If you're self-employed and you're going to start your business and you're the only person that's going to be managing the code that you write, yeah, you should definitely be paying attention this week. If you go and work at a big company, I'm talking like Microsoft or Netflix or Google or some kind of big company, they kind of have their own processes, and you might not need to know everything that I teach you this week, because those big companies kind of have their own processes. But either way, what I'm trying to tell you is that you should care this week, especially if you're thinking that you're going to pursue working at a startup. Which I'll be honest, I think startups are kind of the most fun places to work, but that's just my opinion. So this week, we're going to talk about how to back up and share our code. Up until this point, the code has been primarily living on our laptops. So we need to come up with a way to be able to share that code, to make sure that we have multiple copies of it in case something goes wrong. And then, of course, we need to be able to deploy our code. Like I said earlier, the one thing that we're going to walk away with this week, at the end of this week, the one piece of homework that we have is to have a real working website, not living on your Mac, but actually living on the internet, reachable on the internet for you to be able to share with others. And then the final thing we're going to work on is a lot of troubleshooting. So I'm sure that a lot of you have picked up on this, but software engineering and DevOps and operations and all those disciplines, a really big part of it is knowing how to problem solve and troubleshoot things. And what I'm going to show you this week, we're going to hit speed bumps and blockers and all sorts of stuff. So this week we're trying to continue to cultivate that mentality of problem solving and troubleshooting. Questions, thoughts, opinions? Too much, too little?
Just right so far.
Okay. All right, let's jump into it. So the first thing that I'm going to talk to you about is Git. And Git is synonymous in most people's mind with GitHub. How many people here are familiar with GitHub? Have heard of it? Okay. I'm here today to tell you that we're going to be talking this week mostly about GitHub, but underneath the hood, there is a program called Git. It's just Git, 3 letters, G-I-T, just Git. And Git is a tool that lets us version our software, which is a fancy way of saying it lets us take backups of our code. To just say though that it's a backup tool, kind of like Time Machine on Mac or like Dropbox or something like that. To say that Git is just a backup tool would be a major disservice. Git is so much more than just a tool for backing things up. And I'm going to hopefully show that to you this week. So kind of has these core functions. It lets us store code. It lets us work on code with others. And the most important thing of all, it lets you see how the code is changing over time. And if you want to Google just Git, not GitHub, not GitLab, not Gitty or any of those other things, just the program Git, there is a website that shows you how to download it. Git comes pre-installed on your Mac, so you don't need to do anything to install Git. But there is a website that you can visit if you want to learn more about Git. And I had this problem in the last time that I taught this. People just didn't really believe me that Git itself was a thing. So I want to just take a moment and open up my terminal and show everyone. Right now, if you go into your terminal and type in Git and hit enter, you will see that Git is definitely 100% a valid program that you can run in your terminal. So Git is a program that lets you, Exona?
Yes, can you show us how to get to where you are right now? Again, sorry.
Yeah, yep, sorry. I'm probably the one jumping ahead quite a bit. To get to where I'm at right now, you can open up Spotlight and type in terminal.
Okay.
And I think,
And
can't you do shift, what is it, shift spacebar to open up your Spotlight if you don't know how to?
Oh, yeah,
up?
good point. It's a command spacebar.
Oh, command, thank you.
And your terminal may look a little bit different than mine. I know mine's got some funky colors and whatnot, but everybody's terminal should just let you type in things. But don't feel like you have to do this on your machine. I don't want anybody to think that I'm lying. Git is a program. We're about to jump into GitHub, and I just want to show really quickly that Git is a program installed on your computer. If you type out Git and hit enter, it will spit out this whole message telling you how to use Git. Okay. But If we want to take Git and simplify it, which we kind of need to do because Git is kind of complicated, it has a lot of features to it. But if we do want to simplify it to the analogy of backing up files, then the similarities between OneDrive, Dropbox, Google Drive, Time Machine, those programs that could back up files, those are similar to what you would see for code. Like Microsoft has GitHub, GitLab is its own privately held company. Atlassian has Bitbucket. I think Amazon also has a Git offering that they provide. But if you think of these three services that you can go and store photos or movies or whatever you want on, for normal people, think of GitHub, GitLab, and Bitbucket as kind of the programmer's version of those tools. You know, these things are built for storing code on them. And this week, we're not going to talk about Bitbucket or GitLab, although they do very similar things. We're going to be primarily focused on GitHub. So I'm going to take a quick look at GitHub. Before I do, I want to make sure who in here does not have a github.com account, does not have one. We got a couple people. Okay. So for the folks that don't have one, please go to github.com and create an account. So if you go to github.com, you shouldn't see the page that I see. You should see the GitHub website. Go ahead and go and create an account. Just give people a minute to create an account if they don't have one just yet.
And Nate, this is just them following the steps to set up a personal account on GitHub, right?
Correct. So going to github.com, clicking the sign up on the top right, it does this cutesy welcome to GitHub. So you would then enter your email and follow the prompt to create an account.
I believe, I believe we've all created our GitHub account because that was part of the first week of class. So
okay, great. So if you have a GitHub account and you go to github.com, you should see a screen that looks something like this. If you don't, please let me know.
Excuse me, Nate. Artrell, do you have a question or is your hand up from before?
Okay. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and quickly poke around on the GitHub website. We're not going to spend a lot of time here, but if you go to github.com, you should see a page similar to this. They've got some ads over on the right, but one of the interesting things that you can do with GitHub is you can click on the Explore up here in the top right on the bar. And if you're interested in exploring other people's code, other people's projects, and learning more about their code, you can go here and you can find all sorts of software, especially if you're learning a new language like JavaScript. Sometimes it's nice to go and look at other people's projects that are written in JavaScript just to get an idea of how they write their code and to kind of pick up on some of their some of the ways that they choose to write their code. But for example, right now on this page, GitHub kind of knows what I like, so it's picked a couple repos for me to go and check out. If I wanted to go and look at some of these projects, I could click on them. So I'm going to go ahead and click on one of these. And you'll see I'm on a page here that has code for this project. I'm going to go back. There's also some tabs up here for like trending. So if you, similar to like Twitter, you could kind of go on GitHub and see what some of the latest and greatest, hottest software projects that are currently being developed on GitHub. You can come and check these things out. This is not stuff that you need to memorize. This is just for your own information. If you ever want to go on GitHub and poke around at what other people are developing, and this is how you would get to it. Okay. So I've already thrown some terminology at you, and I haven't done a great job of explaining it. The first piece of terminology that I've thrown at you is repository. When I say repository, I want you to think project. So right now, everyone is working on a portfolio project, correct? So when you hear the word repository, I want you to think project. Repository means something very specific in Git terminology. So I'm going to refer to it as repository, but every time I do, just link that in your mind with project. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a new repository or a new project on GitHub. And I have some steps here that are very specific, and I would like you all to follow along with me. There is a portion on here where you need to spell something very, very specifically. So just be paying attention here in a second when we get to that part. So we're all on github.com. We've all signed in. Up in the top right, there's a plus icon. No matter what page you're on, this plus icon next to your profile, if you click on that and new repository, we can create a new repository. Your screen might look a little bit different than mine, but the gist of it is up here, you should see owner. That should have your name selected, your GitHub username selected. And then in the repository name box, we need to spell out something very, very specific. So the syntax for what you need to spell out is your GitHub username and then .github.io. And let me show you what that looks like. So for me, my GitHub username is DE1UX. So I'm going to do DE1UX.github.io. That's going to be the name of the repository I'm creating. This needs to be your GitHub username. If you aren't sure what your GitHub username is, you can click up here on the top right and it will say signed in as, and then your name. That needs to match this repository name right here. Any questions so far?
I mean, rather edit your GitHub username, or it is what it is?
I don't know if you can change your GitHub username. Well, so if you don't particularly like your GitHub username and you don't want to be sharing that in a link, I will show all of you how to set up a domain name to sit in front. So you can buy whatever domain it is that you want to point to your portfolio. So for now, long story short, for now, just use your username. And if you're worried about what it looks like, we can address that later.
So Nathan, this is our free domain if we didn't want to create and buy our own somewhere else. Is that right?
You're getting a little bit ahead, but you're absolutely right. You're about to get a free domain from GitHub.
Okay.
Okay. If you do follow the instructions that Latonia put in chat, just be aware that you will then need to make sure that your repo is named with whatever you change your username to. Okay, in the description, you don't have to put anything in there if you don't want. I'm just going to say something like, this is my portfolio website. Oops.
Hey, Nathan, can I just add a thought around that?
Please.
Anytime I create a new repo, I always add in a description. And there's also a preview image you can add. You may not be at that stage, but at some point I add them in. And I think like for the description, when you do that, it may help with SEO because you're adding in more words that can be, I guess, crawled or what have you to bring your site up if it's pertinent to a search, for example. But there are certain things that I do, I learned from CIC that are kind of like good practice that include adding a description and the preview image. I always make sure there's like meaningful stuff in my README.
Okay, yeah, I don't put something in the description only because I put it in on the repository page. But I agree. I think it's a great practice to put in a meaningful description and to have the README filled out. Absolutely. Okay, and then right here you have a checkbox for public and private. What that means is that if you select public, which I would like everybody to do, if you select public, that means anybody can see your code. And at this point, the point of your portfolio is to make it visible to others. So it follows that we would also make the code visible. There's really no reason to hide the code. If you were to make it private, that means that the repository would be set up and you need to invite people to work on it to see your code. We don't really want to deal with that because then it's a whole permissions ordeal. Okay, and then arguably the most important thing to click on this page is the add a README file. I don't know why this doesn't get checked by default on GitHub, but make sure that this add a README file box is checked. After you've done all of that, you can move forward to clicking the create repository button. There is a license that you can optionally add, which will just generate a file and shove it into your project for you. If you are particularly concerned about licensing your code, you can pick from one of these. But other than that, as long as you are using your username.github.io, you have it set to public, and you have the add a README file box checked, you can click the create repository. Okay.
So can you have multiple repositories? I mean, they're thought of as projects, right? So you can just have many, or is there a set limit?
There is not. You can have as many as you want. In fact, recently GitHub changed to you can have as many public and private repositories as you want. What I will say though is if you want to get a website, you have to name your project in this your repo in this very specific way. It's just a special GitHub thing. But if you wanted to, you could go up, create a new repository. You could call it literally anything. And you'd have a new repo called literally anything. Hopefully that answers your question. To get back, notice how I somehow navigated my way back to the create page. I want to go and look at my repositories, the one that I just created. I have two options. I can go to it directly in the URL, which would be my username and then the name of the repository. You can go to it directly like that, or in a much easier way, you can click up here on the top right and go to your repositories. I have a ton of repositories, so you can see right here, this is the one that I just created. I'll click on that, and I'm back to my repository. Everybody on a page looking kind of like this? Was everybody able to create one? Okay, prove it to me. So there is a link here, which I will share. I will share in Zoom chat. And I would like for everyone to go in here and add their name, their GitHub username, the link, which I'll paste mine as an example. And then those 3 columns are really all we have right now.
Nathan, does it matter whether we capitalize this or not?
If your username is capitalized, it does matter. I think it does matter. Let's find out.
Okay.
Have you already created it?
Yes.
Okay, let's find out. If not, it's easy enough to rename the repo.
I'm sorry, I didn't see where you got your link from. Where do you get that?
The GitHub link. This the values we're putting in this column.
Yep, sorry.
Steal that from the repo that you
just
just
from our-
created.
Okay.
Latonia, fun fact, did you know that if you don't put any HTML files in your repo, that it creates a website based off of just your README?
No, I did not know that. That is fun.
Kind of cool. I didn't know it either. It's just esoteric information I picked up from playing GitHub pages. All right. Just kind of cool because you can create a website without creating any HTML, but Markdown for this .md file is its own special. Is anybody here familiar with Markdown or heard of Markdown? No. I'll bet you've seen it before. So Markdown looks something like this, where you can make headers and you can have bullet points. Have you seen, this is kind of like the old messaging board format, if anybody remembers those days. You can have checkboxes. Anyways. Okay, I'm gonna shuffle this around just to clean this up a little bit. Is anybody having problems adding themselves to this, finding their link?
Hey, Nathan.
Mhm.
Do you mind telling us the reason why it would be beneficial just to add a README now as opposed to doing it later?
I'm gonna turn it around and ask you, why do you think adding a README now would be beneficial?
It depends on my project on when I add it. Sometimes if I've already started the project, I'll go ahead and create the README and get my stuff upstream, and then I can add in my README later. But I think there's something around like initializing the repo that's attached to just adding the README when you first create it.
Yeah, good point. I think that's that second part that you mentioned, the creating the README when you create the README, the repo. I think that's really important to call out. Let me back up for a second though. I think, are we close to our break? Do we have a second to talk, or do we go ahead and?
We can
We
talk.
haven't,
Breaks at
we
like
have until 7.
7, I mean,
So so let me talk really quickly about the README, because I'm throwing terminology at you, and I'm not doing a great job of slowing down and explaining what these things are. So the readme.md is a very special file, and it's a file that, as long as it lives in your repository, as long as you have this file in your repository, it will be the thing that shows up here on this front page when you visit the project on GitHub. Let me show you some other examples of that. Latonia, what's a popular, oh, Express. Let's look at Node.js Express. Express, just Express. All of GitHub, please. Express.js, okay. So Express is a library that all of you are going to encounter later on in the cohort. It's a library used on the server, written in JavaScript for handling web requests. So here on the Express GitHub page, if I look down, there is a readme.md in this project. And that special file, if I keep scrolling down, that special file is what's going to be displayed here on this homepage. So this is an example of a really nice README that someone put together. It has examples of how to use the library that's included in this project. So long story short, the README is a special file for Git repositories that when you go and visit the project on GitHub, that README will show up on the front page. So if you have important information that you want to share with your users that are looking at your code, throw it in the README. It's just meant for documentation, and it's meant for helping others understand what your project is about.
Nathan, how do we
Anything
get,
else?
I'm sorry, how do we get our GitHub link on the document?
Yeah, good question. So if you've created the repo, you can click your username, go to your repositories, and then find the repository that you just made, and then just copy what you have in the URL.
Thank you.
That is your URL. Is that a decent explanation of README? Does anybody have any questions about what the README file is?
Yes, could you redefine it again? So it's like documentation so others know what your code is about?
Yeah, it's a front page for your project. It's not HTML, it's not CSS, it's its own its own thing. Right now, you don't really need to worry a whole lot about your README. Just wanted to quickly touch on what it is. The second part of what Latonia mentioned, let me show quickly what would happen if you didn't create a README when you created a new repository. So just watch what I'm doing. Don't do this on your own. When you click on new repository, if you were to go in here and create a new repo and call it literally anything, but literally anything. So if you're going to create a repo and you say, this is my description, you set it to public because you want other people to be able to see your code. And let's say you don't click the add a README file and you just click create repository. If you do that, you're going to get into a pretty awful situation where you're going to need to go into the command line and do a bunch of crazy stuff. So all these instructions you're going to need to figure out, and it's fairly involved. So if you get into this situation where you've accidentally created a repository, just go and, well, just ask me. And I will help you figure out how to get back to creating that README. Okay, so that was kind of a side tangent, but the end goal that we should be at is sitting on a web page that looks kind of like this, and you have filled out the link or a row in this Google spreadsheet. if you've done that, then we are all set. I think this is a good time to take a 20-minute break and come back. Does that sound good with people? Okay, let's come back at 6:43.
Oh, hold on, Nathan. I think, did someone have a question? Artrell, do you have a question?
Oh, sorry.
I do. I copy my URL, but how do I get to the portfolio link to put it in?
Oh, the Google, the spreadsheet?
Yeah, the spreadsheet.
I will paste it again in Zoom chat.
Okay.
Cool. If anybody else has questions, feel free to stick around if you want, or just ask them when we come back from break. So 6:44. See everybody.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So there's repositories and there's projects right next to that. Now I'm confused because I'm thinking as repositories as projects.
I think he didn't hear you.
I don't
So
think.
let's just wait till he comes back and he can address it.
but it's still doing it. It just like frozen. It's not making the new file actually. Hello.
Can you restate that for him? I don't think he had his ears.
So I'm trying to make a new repository, but it shows creating, but it's not like making a new one. So I wasn't sure.
Do you want to share your screen?
Yeah.
Okay. It's great. You've got, oh, okay. Save yourself a little bit of time. Grab your repository name, copy that to the clipboard. Yeah, double click what you typed, copy that, or grab all of it. Yeah. Command C.
Yeah.
Refresh the page. Okay. Yep. Public. Great.
Okay, it's done now. Thank you.
Yeah, it's not every time that a website responds. Okay. Artrell, I looked at your GitHub link and it doesn't seem like it goes anywhere. Did you end up creating a repo? Were you able to?
I thought I did.
I get a 404 when I click on it. I don't know if it's the spelling. Perhaps. I'm looking at your username. It doesn't look like your user created a repo. If you want to share your screen, we can quickly create one for you. Oh, great. So you created it. Oh, I see the problem. So on my computer and everybody else, if they were to visit that, they would not be able to see it. The problem is that there was the public and the private, and I believe you clicked on the private. So just so we all can see it, if you click on settings, the settings tab, let me grab my annotator, this deal right here, the settings tab. Yep, and then scroll all the way down to the bottom. And then change the visibility. Yep, public, yep. Yep. One more time. Perfect. And now I can see it, great. Okay, so everybody has one. I'm counting 16 people that were able to make one. We have a couple of people that I don't know when they joined. Vicentica Valdez. Can you hear me?
Nathan,
Yes.
I had a question. I had to be away for a few more minutes than I had expected.
Huh?
I've got my repository. Was there anything else we had done?
Nope, we're just making sure everybody's caught up. So far, it looks like I'm missing 2 people's links, so I'm just trying to catch up. It looks like there's people that have joined since we started class. I mean, I'm just trying to see if they're participating. But I can't tell because their cameras are off.
My bad. I thought my camera's on.
Yeah, no, sorry, not you, Jordan. I'm talking about Naj and this. I'm sorry, I'm having a hard
We
time
call her
pronouncing.
Tika. She goes by Tika.
Oh, Tika. Naj or Tika, were either of you able to follow along and create the Oh, no, sorry, Naj, I see you added a you added your link. Great. Thank you. Tika, were you able to create one? Okay, let's go ahead and move on. So now we have all of our GitHub links created. We have our first repository set up. Let's actually do something with it. Let's actually put some files in our repository. Let's see what we can do.
Hey, Nathan.
Yep.
I hate to interrupt. I thought Snyder had a question around seeing other repos in there. I'll let him articulate it, but in case he still had that question.
Yes, please.
Yeah, it was just in the profile section where you see the overview, repositories, projects, packages, etc. You know how you said to look at repositories as projects? So what's with the project section next to it? Just a little confused, that's all.
I have no idea what GitHub projects are. This is actually the first time I've ever seen it. It looks like it's like a project management tool.
It is.
I
I've used it. I'm sorry, Nate. I can, it is, it's you basically will go in there and create a name for your project for that particular repo. And then you can create like issues or just little like cards. It's like, if you ever seen Trello, it's just basically a project management system that they have built into GitHub that you could use. I'm sorry, I could have just answered that earlier, but I didn't realize that's what the question was.
Oh, good, thank you.
Okay. So let's upload some files to our repository. I'm going to show you one way to do this that is really quick and easy and will help you upload a bunch of files to GitHub into your repository. And then we're also going to look at a much better way of uploading files. So this first method is just to kind of get everybody familiar with the concept of uploading files to GitHub, and then we'll expand on this shortly. Okay, so everybody should be looking at something kind of like this. You're sitting on your GitHub repository. Let's go ahead and upload some files to it. So the files we're going to upload are your portfolio files. So navigate on your computer to wherever you keep your portfolio code. For me, I keep my portfolio code inside of space sample portfolio. And I just stole Max's portfolio code. This is my portfolio. But I'm gonna put these files right here in Finder, and then I'm going to, over on the side, I'm gonna have my my GitHub website pulled up. Once you have these two things side by side, you can just take all of the files and drag them over.
Can you show us how you got the
Yeah, I I can try, but it all kind of depends on where your code is at on your computer. So some people put it on their desktop. I don't know where Max has been having you put. Does anybody want to share where their
I can share
portfolio code's
mine.
at?
Yeah, I can share mine if you don't mind. Mine are on my C4 my code for
Okay.
my Visual Studio Code. I don't know if that's gonna work because hold on, I'll just share my screen. Oh, I can't share it until you stop. Okay.
Okay, one sec. Go ahead.
So mine are like these are my codes. I haven't
Mhm.
named them. I just did like day 3. For instance, this is our YouTube, but then this shows up.
So where is the code that you've been working on for your portfolio?
We haven't really.
Yeah, we only we're tasked to do the wireframe. We didn't actually get down to coding yet.
Nobody has HTML or CSS that they've worked on?
Depends on the person, I guess, but yeah.
I have my portfolio mostly done. I could share mine if you want, like.
Oh boy, we need code. Folks, we got to have some code. If you don't have code, I can provide some of Max's code. We really just need some HTML and CSS. It really doesn't matter what the HTML and CSS is.
All right,
but-
sorry to interrupt. Like, I think we all, something everybody should have that should have a substantial amount of code in it is the last project we worked on was like, we made a copy of our favorite site.
Okay.
When we left off, I mean, everybody left off at various stages of it, but I would imagine at the very least, everybody has like some code related to that project. So I would say we should probably use that then.
Okay, yeah, use whatever you want. I'm going with portfolio because I just want to steal some from Max. If folks have absolutely no HTML and CSS, I will find some for you. Yeah, Jennifer?
I just want to understand, do I use the whole file and move the folder over into the
Good question.
repository?
Good question. So no, don't move the folder. Move all of the files in the folder to GitHub.
Okay.
So after you drag all of your files over onto GitHub, it should have this box drop to upload your files. And then they should all kind of start uploading here like this. So if you see a bunch of individual files, you're on the right track. If you just see a folder, then back up.
Sorry, you weren't sharing your screen, so.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay. We didn't see what you were doing.
Yeah, let me share my screen. Okay, so I'm back here on my GitHub page right here.
Okay.
And I'm taking all the code that I have on my computer, my CSS, my HTML, my PNGs, all of that, dragging it over. And then I'm seeing this box right here where it says drag files to add them to your repository. I can click choose your files if I want to individually. Instead, I'm just going to grab those files again, drag and drop them. And now they're all going to start popping up here.
And this
Once
is just, oh, I'm sorry, Nate.
Go ahead.
This is just a side note. You see on Nate's screen in his Finder on the bottom, you can see how it's going from one folder to the next. That's the path of where that particular code lives. So I just posted in an article. Basically, you can do Command Option P, and you can toggle that on and off if you're not sure where a file is living.
That was super useful. Thank you. Makes
Yes,
things.
thank you. Okay, and then once you have these files uploaded over here, this is where it's going to ask you to commit changes. And I'm going to throw another piece of terminology at you. So with Git, there are special bundles called commits, and we'll look in depth at what a commit is later on. But for right now, all we're going to do is describe what the files are that we're uploading. So there's two boxes here. There's a short description and a long description. We're going to ignore the long and just focus on the short. So inside of this box right here, we will say something like adding files from my portfolio. This is a human readable message that just kind of describes what the purpose is of the files that you're uploading. So if you're uploading the website that you were running inspect element on, or whatever you're working on, just write a little message saying that those are the files that you're using. Then once you're done with that, click the commit changes.
Excuse me, Jennifer, do you have a question?
I'm sorry, I forgot to lower my hand.
No worries.
Yeah, thank you.
Once you've done that, you should see all of your files are now sitting here inside of your Git repository. Anybody having issues uploading their files?
How do I get back?
To get back to this page that I'm looking at, you can click up here in top right, your repositories.
Thank you.
Yep.
Oh, no. I don't see anything.
Inside of your repositories?
Do I have to click on my link? I do. There we
Yes.
go.
Yep. Okay. Is everybody able to upload at least something to their Git repository? Okay.
Question, you see in your corner where it says the languages? That doesn't pop up on my screen.
Oh, down here, this
Yeah.
section right here.
Mhm.
It might take GitHub a second because it analyzes the code that's in your, so you might either need to refresh or check your files and make sure that you actually have code in there.
Okay.
You have what you expected, but yeah, it does take it a second to analyze your project. Asia?
My connection had got lost and disconnected, and I don't know what you guys did before you put commit changes.
Oh,
I
yeah,
added
so
the file.
you added the files?
Yeah.
Did you click the commit changes button?
No, not yet. I didn't know if you did a different step before that.
Yeah, the only thing that I talked about was in that box where it's asking you to add a description. Do you see that?
Yeah.
Just type whatever you want in there. Just type in a very brief sentence, adding my files or uploading my projects, something like that, and then click the commit changes button.
Okay, good. Thank you.
While people are getting all that wrapped up, I want to quickly point out what you can do now that you have these files up here. So let's say, for example, I wanted to go and look at some code that was powering my index.html. I can click on the file, and here is an online viewer that shows me all of the code inside of that file. So for example, if I wanted to let's say that Brian, you had some kind of question about how to implement the grid layout using CSS, and I knew how to implement the grid layout. I could go here, I could click on this line 58 right here. I could grab this link and I could go and paste that into Zoom chat, and anybody could click on that and go directly to that code and see what it is that I'm talking about. So this is the programmer's tool for sharing code with other people. So now this code that you've been working on, hopefully people have a little bit of portfolio code, but if not, whatever the code is that you have up on GitHub right now, you are going to be able to share this with others. Now, this is for technical people. This isn't how you would put your portfolio in front of customers, or your product in front of customers. This is purely for us as software developers to be able to share and work on code together. Questions so far, Matt?
So you just copy pasted the code pretty much?
Pretty much. And this is the simplest form of getting code from your computer onto GitHub. We're about to look at a much better way of doing this. But I wanted to show you one very easy, dead simple method for getting your code up onto GitHub. Just literally copy, drag and drop onto the website.
Hey, Nate, this is like a side note, but can you also show them how they would delete? Like some people may be pulling in files just for demo purposes so they can follow along. But how would they delete the file if they just want to get it out after?
Good point. Do you know how to do that in the UI without touching Git or GitHub Desktop?
I thought you just click on the file, then you're going to see it up in the top right.
Oh, the trash?
Yeah, then you should be able to delete it.
Okay. I didn't know you could delete from, so I have this file here called CNAME. Let's say that I don't want it on my GitHub repository anymore. I can click the delete this file. And again, I'm going to have to create a commit, which is again, a commit is a bundle of changes. And right now the change that I'm trying to make is I'm deleting a file. So I could add a message here saying, deleting the CNAME, not using this file. Click the confirm changes, and now that file is no longer there. You can also edit files directly from this webpage. So like, for example, if someone discovered a bug in my code, like let's say, for example, I had a misspelling here, and instead of style.css, it was styles.css. I could go in here, click on this pencil icon up here in the top right, change it from style to styles, and then make a commit, say updating to styles instead of style CSS. Now, if I go back to the home page, click on index.html, look down here, the code has changed. It's now styles.css. So you can make changes to your code directly on this website as well. Now, why you would want to do that directly here on GitHub directly? Yeah, I don't know why you would want to do it directly on, similar to deleting files through GitHub. I'm about to show you a different method of doing both of these things. That's quite a bit more easier. All right, questions? Otherwise, we're going to move on.
Yeah.
So you can recover files too?
Sorry?
Guessing you can recover if you accidentally deleted something?
Absolutely. Yeah, let's quickly talk about that, because this is one of the coolest things about it. So let's say, so you all saw me change that link from style to styles, right? What did I make a bug? Did I intentionally just bug my own application? Does anybody know?
Like, are you asking if styles is like wrong code or something?
Yeah, did I just intentionally bug my own program? Does anybody know?
I mean, I use style.css, so I mean, I see styles.css used, so I don't really know, honestly.
The files won't link now, so the CSS is not going to coincide with the HTML.
Absolutely. Well, look right here. In my project, style.css. So I just broke my website. because index.html, this is not valid. It's not a valid file, right? So the question is, well, how could I get back to how can I go back in time to just style.css? And that's the really cool thing about Git, is that it keeps track of everything for you. It's continually taking snapshots as you change your code. So if we wanted to go back in time to when it was just style.css, we can look at the history of this file up here in the top right, click history. And then we can go back to the previous commit. So this commit that I made where I updated styles instead of style.css, we can click on that commit and see, okay, this code was changed right here. This specific word style was changed to styles. So I can see exactly what changed, and I can go back and fix this and replace styles with style and fix my website. We will get more into this. This is just the first night of this week. I know I'm throwing a lot at you. We will get much more in depth, but that was a great point, Schneider. And I wanted to quickly mention that, yes, Git is tracking everything that you're doing. All the code you're writing, not everything you're doing. It's not super creepy, just the code.
That's funny.
Okay.
I wanted to just note that if you look at how Nate did that, he named it in a way that he knew what it was doing. So even though you want to keep your commit messages short, you want them to be helpful for you down the road if you are in a situation where you need to go back and find that change so you can revert or what have you.
Right, exactly. Like when you're filling out those commit messages, when you're committing your changes, those messages are for you. You can make them as short and as ambiguous as you want, or you can make them as detailed as you want. I tend to try to be a little bit more detailed for exactly the reasons Latonya mentioned. They're for you. They're gonna help you.
I had an idea.
Yeah.
The question about why we would want to make changes here versus in our code.
Yes.
I figure it's because it'd be easier to make changes here where it's already backed up and protected, and then we can commit it. And we don't have to go from here to our code, fix that, upload that again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You're pointing out that if we did do all of our coding on GitHub, then that would be a different workflow that arguably could be better. The one downside to doing all of your coding on GitHub, though, is that you need the code on your computer as well in order to test it and run the code and see your changes in your browser.
Mm.
So
but changes.
There are situations where you might want to change the code on GitHub, but it's kind of a case-by-case basis. Let me hold off though on answering that question just a little bit longer so we can get a little bit deeper. Okay, this is more for reference in the slides, but just so you know, if you ever want to view your code, go here, click on the files. That's how you kind of navigate around on GitHub. And then just a reminder, everybody has their code set to public, so please don't put anything on GitHub that is sensitive, things like Wi-Fi credentials or passwords or anything like that, because your code is public, everybody can see it. If you decide that
I'm sorry, good. Oh, this is just a side note to what Nathan just said. GitHub also, it like scans files and it'll send you messages to say, hey, like if you accidentally put an API key in a file, they'll contact you and say, there's a security issue here that you need to fix. So they do try to help you with that, but you want to avoid it. You don't want to get it in there at all.
Right.
If you're doing your portfolio, is it okay to link in the resume?
Is it okay to what?
Link in the resume also?
Yeah, absolutely. If you're willing to share that on the internet, if you're willing to post it on Facebook or Twitter or something, then yeah, you're just as safe posting it on GitHub. If for some reason you don't, if you don't want the whole world to see your code, like for example, I work on some projects that if the whole world could see the code, then that would be a security concern. Right now for your portfolio, again, you want the world to see the code you write. So try to keep your repos public if possible. But if you decide you want to make them private, we would just kind of follow the reverse steps that we went through with our trail before, where you can go here to the settings page, and to switch it from public to private, you go all the way down to the bottom and run through that whole change visibility. I do want to call out a couple other things down here too. Delete this repository. It's again that same thing where you're gonna have to click the button like 6 times in order to do it. But if for some reason you wanted to delete your code off of GitHub, that would be the button to do it with.
I guess it's called Danger Zone for a good reason.
Say what?
I said I guess it's called Danger Zone for a good reason. A lot of red.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. At that point, if you delete it on GitHub, there is no coming back. If you hit that button, your code's gone. All right. So I need to convince all of you to use Git, and the biggest one is just life lessons I've learned from coding. You know, I've had accidents where my laptop has gotten destroyed or liquid spilled on it, and the laptop's just done. And I've had instances where that code just didn't come back, and I've lost months of work. And if I had been using Git and GitHub, that wouldn't have been an issue. So I implore all of you, please take what I teach you this week and use it in your coding, because it will pay off in the long run.
Nathan, really quickly, I apologize. So after we click on change visibility, do we switch it to private?
No, leave it as public. Just trying to show you where the option is if you wanted to.
Okay, got it. Okay, thank you.
Other questions?
Yeah, is there a way to have this automatically back up to Git? Like if we're in, yeah, awesome.
We're getting there. We're just starting to scratch the surface here. So if you're itching for more, I'm about to give you something to chew on.
Cool.
But do practice what I'm about to show you, or practice backing your code up, especially for your portfolio. Practice backing that up to Git out of practice. All right, so let's jump into the meat and potatoes of what I wanted to talk about tonight. So I showed you a really easy way of getting your files up onto GitHub. We're going to jump into a more involved but far more useful tool for doing this, called GitHub Desktop. So I'm going to have everybody go to this link, and I'll post it in Zoom. And we're going to download this program and install it on our computer. Download for Mac OS. I think that you want to click the download for Apple Silicon down here. Right? Everybody's using a new Mac. Everybody's got the M something.
Yeah.
The M1, you can check your About Mac if you're not sure. The little apple up in your upper left.
Okay, I'm going to take mine and I'm going to throw it in applications. Once you have it installed, you should be able to open it up. So I'm going to open up GitHub Desktop. It's the name of the program. just ignore what you're seeing on my screen because I need to get to where everybody else is at. Sign up. There we go.
Excuse me, Nate.
Mhm.
If they get a message that says move and restart, should they be clicking that, or because I just did it and it was telling me, I think if I restart, isn't it going to kick me out of Zoom?
Yeah, it's asking you to restart your computer.
Yep, it says it sees that I'm not running it and it wants to know if I should move it to the applications folder and restart now. So I was just thinking something
Oh,
like the same message.
You have GitHub Desktop currently running?
Oh, I do.
Is that what it's asking about restarting?
Oh, we've detected you're not running GitHub Desktop from the applications folder.
Oh, exit out of GitHub Desktop and then make sure that you drag it in.
Okay, I can do that. Thank you.
You should. Is everybody seeing the page kind of like this after they've installed it? Everybody seeing something similar to this? Okay. So you can click the clone a repository from the internet. And then you should see a box here that says sign in. So we're going to click that. It's going to ask you to sign in using your browser, continue with browser. It'll open up a window in your browser. You'll just hit continue or whatever it prompts you to do. Exona,
Hi, yeah, sorry, mine doesn't look like that.
do you mind sharing your screen?
I'm trying to follow along, but mine looks like this.
Oh, perfect. That's great. So click the sign in to github.com. And then, yep, sign in.
Oh, I don't remember my password.
Oh, pressure's on.
Yeah, no. Okay. All right. I'll have to figure it out.
Okay.
Yay.
Other people? Anybody having issues signing in?
Can you share the screen again of the page you get to after you sign on,
Sure.
in?
Yeah. So you should see something kind of like this.
You're on the configure Git, you just click finish and then it will take you to that screen.
Do you mind? The problem is I've installed this before, so I don't think I'm getting the same prompts that all of you are. Do you mind sharing and let me see where you're at?
Exona, I can't.
Oh, my face.
I just got done watching it the other day.
Am I sharing the screen?
Yep, I can see it. Oh, Latonia, we hit this last time. This is trying to use the private Git email. Do you remember that? See that
Maybe.
funky email address?
Yeah.
How did we
Oh,
fix
yeah,
that
what-
last time?
I did, and I just gave finish, and I can see whatever you are showing in your screen. So
Should
So
I just
click on,
yeah,
click on
just
your regular
finish.
email.
Yeah, and then
Move and restart. Yep, click move and restart. Okay.
all right, thank you.
And then you should be at a page that looks similar to mine. Is anybody else having problems? I got a whole lot of stuff over on the right, but you should have something there. It should be the repository that you've created. So once you get to this screen, over on the right where it says your repositories, click on the one that you just created. So your username /your username.github.io and click clone. When you click clone, it's going to pop up some stuff. Just let it be filled in how it's filled in, and click on the clone button. And then your window should change completely to something different that looks similar to my screen. Let me know if anybody has a problem reaching this. These instructions are also in the slides. I want to point out, if anybody feels like they're falling behind, if anybody is falling behind, just feel free to ask, and we'll take a second to fix wherever you're at. But if you don't want to ask for help, there are, or you just want the reference, there are these same steps outlined on the slides. Okay.
Mine
All right,
is
so let
just,
me.
oh, sorry. Mine is just taking
Nope.
forever to load for the sign-in part.
Oh, for it to download, it's taking a while.
No, not the download. Like I signed in on the browser, but it's just having sign in and it has like a circle going around and around. So I don't know.
Do you mind sharing?
No, what's that? Yeah.
Latonia, can I make you co-host and
Sure.
ask you to poll? Do you mind making a poll for me?
Oh,
I just
okay.
want to gauge where everybody's at, because if folks aren't able to get to this step, we're going to be in
Oh,
trouble.
okay.
Can you see my
So,
screen?
yeah, I can. So hit on your keyboard, hit Command Q to close out of this window, and then go ahead and reopen up GitHub Desktop. Yep. Double click that. Sign into GitHub. Okay, here's the window. Oh, no, leave that open. That was the window that you wanted to have open.
Oh, what is that?
Oh, I see what's been happening. So go ahead and X out of this. Go back to GitHub Desktop. Hit cancel. Click sign into GitHub again. Now wait for this browser window to finish loading. You click up there in the URL bar and hit enter. That helps speed things along. Yep, click open GitHub Desktop. There we go. Change that email drop down to your actual email. Yep. Click finish. And then, yeah, move and restart. Should open again. Great. Click that your repositories over on the right column. Yep, and then click the clone. Perfect. And then click clone again. Leave these settings filled in. Clone. You're all caught up.
All right, thank you.
Excellent. Nice.
Okay, Nate, for the poll, we have 4 people who've not been able to do it. It looks like there's maybe 3 people who haven't responded.
Okay.
So I don't know if anybody else wants to share their screen.
I'm not going to take the no, but keep going. Like I said, we're going to build off of this. So I need people to be where I'm at. So if you weren't able to do it, Tika, do you want to share your screen?
Yeah, okay, let me share screen. This desktop 2. This is where I am. Is it shared? Oh, wait, hold on, let me click share. Did I click it?
There we go. Move and restart.
Move and restart?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I did this before, right?
Okay, just hit close. And I think it's already moved over.
Yeah, I
So
did it.
go ahead.
And it didn't, when I tried to come up, it didn't come up how you guys were. Oh, I might have done it. I don't know. But go
Okay.
ahead.
Let me ask you really quick though, Tika, what is Learn Co Sandbox?
I don't know. It was okay, so I restarted again and then that came up. That's what
Okay.
I put in. I had to restart everything and that was up there and I was like, okay, whatever.
So let's rename that repo to your username.github.io. So right in that window where your mouse is at, see where it says repository name below? Right here.
Yeah.
Change that to your username. So VICNTI. Yep. .github.io.
.io.
Yep, and rename. Yep. Okay, great. Now go back to GitHub Desktop, that other window to your right. I know it's kind of confusing. We're talking about GitHub, the website, and then we just installed this program, GitHub Desktop. Click on this refresh icon right there. Okay, now click on this. Yep. And then click on the button down below. Click clone. Okay, hit cancel. Command Q on the keyboard. All right, now in your keyboard, press Command spacebar. Type in GitHub Desktop.
All one word.
Space desktop. All right. Question for other people. What do other people think is happening right now? Anybody have any ideas?
I think it didn't get installed in the application folder. But I mean, I did it one time and it said it's not running off the application folder. So I went back and again, which is when I got the other stuff coming up. And I was like, oh.
So I agree. I agree with your diagnosis. So let's go to the downloads folder in Finder. So back behind you, click on this window here. Click on downloads over on the, yep, perfect. And then just to make things easier, let's switch this to the list view so we can see. Okay, great. All right, so in here we should see the .zip for GitHub Desktop, but we don't. So let's just quickly go to the browser and look up GitHub Desktop and download another copy. Yeah, you could just type in GitHub Desktop, yeah, and that should take us to the website to download it. Scroll down, these are ads. There it is, installation. Or that works. And then click this right here for Apple Silicon. Great.
See, they're all, see, I did it twice, but okay. And then
okay, yep, click it.
Do I just open?
Yep.
Okay.
And then back in desktop. So now take this and drag it to the applications.
Oops.
X out of that, yep, and then click.
Oh, I gotta click.
It's fighting you.
Oh no, let me see. Okay. Nope.
Try clicking away from it. It's active, so it's like ready to do more actions. So click away from it so it's not blue and then grab the icon and drag it over. Like anywhere next to like index 4, like anywhere in that empty space, click in there so it's unactive.
Mm.
Click back to downloads.
if I click on this part of it should unactivate that, right?
Yeah, just anywhere away from it should, and then you
You
want
can
to try
click back
clicking
here.
yeah, well,
Outside though.
yeah, just click away from it, any of that gray space that's in the box in your Finder.
Okay, and now?
Just click anywhere in there that's not on that file, because when you click on it, it's thinking you want to rename the file. So you just want to click anywhere in that gray space that's not on an actual file, even if it highlights another file. So just move down a little bit and click. Yep, now go back up to it, but on the icon, not the name. And click and drag it.
Oops, sorry.
Oh.
No.
Oh, that's so weird. You should be able just to click and drag from the icon.
Here, let me just take remote. All right.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. Okay.
Why could you do it?
I think you're clicking down too hard, which is triggering the force touch. You know, when you deep click into something like this, if I press super far on the key on the
I think that's
touchpad.
Yeah. Because that's how.
So do you see GitHub Desktop now? Did it open up on another window?
I don't see that it opened up anywhere.
Okay, let's go click on applications. Find GitHub Desktop. There it is.
Okay.
Open. There you go. Grab this, clone. Here you are.
Okay.
All cut up.
That took 10 years. All right, thank you.
Yeah. Anybody else? Everybody's caught up? Okay. Right, let me go back to share my screen. Okay, so what do we have? We have the code that we just put up on GitHub. We have that same code on our machine. And let me show you what I mean by that. So using this window, we have 3 things we can do. We can open up VS Code, we can open up Finder, and we can go to GitHub. If we click on View on GitHub, that's going to take us to this page that you are all familiar with now. This is your home page on GitHub for your project, for your repo. So that's what this button does. Show in Finder, if we click on that, this is going to show you those files that you uploaded, you just uploaded, you dragged and dropped onto your repository. Those are the same files that you dragged and dropped. What we did when we clicked that clone button is we grabbed the code that was up on GitHub and we copied it down to our machine. And you'll notice that this path down here on my computer, on my hard drive, I'm actually inside of my documents folder now, inside of a folder called GitHub, inside of a folder called deluxe.github.io. So we have uploaded code to GitHub, and then we have downloaded that same code back down onto our machine. It's now in a special folder inside of the documents folder on your hard drive. Does that make sense? Does anybody have any questions? Is everybody able to see? Because this is going to be a little bit confusing. You have 2 copies of your code now on your computer. You have the code that you used when you initially copied it over onto GitHub, and now you have a second copy when you downloaded it, when you cloned it from GitHub.
Well, I can't get back to that other page where it says no local changes.
What are you seeing?
I'm on that page where it lists my repository.
Oh, okay. Let's click out. I'm going to reopen GitHub Desktop. Oops. GitHub Desktop. So you see this?
Oh no, I've got my files and I was able to get that other screen where you could choose where you wanted to open it. But now I can't go back there.
Let me stop and let you share.
Okay. Some here.
Right. So this is the website GitHub. We're talking about GitHub Desktop, the program. So go down to your dock or where, however you, yep. And then see the GitHub icon. Perfect. There you are. Yep. GitHub, the website, GitHub Desktop, the program.
Thank you.
Excuse me, Tika, do you have a question or is your hand up from before?
I think it's been raised since before, sorry.
Yeah, no problem.
All right. So let's talk about changing code. We've uploaded code to GitHub. We downloaded the code back to our machine. We can see it in Finder. So clicking show in Finder should open up a window and you'll be able to see your code there. You can also click open in VS Code. And you should see something like this, where you have a folder and you have all of your HTML and CSS or whatever you uploaded to GitHub. So I'd like everybody to open up their GitHub desktop, click open in VS Code. So you launch a VS Code window. You may have had VS Code windows open before for code that you were working on with Max last week. If you're having trouble getting VS Code to do what you want it to do, a quick way to make it behave is to just go and close it. So quit VS Code, and then come back into GitHub Desktop. Click that button, open in Visual Studio Code. Let it reopen. Brand new, fresh. Questions?
I have a question. This might be general. I mean, I haven't run into the issue yet, but I kind of can see it happening. So like the way that we transferred our files over from our computer into GitHub was you specifically said not to add the folders, like to add the files individually, right?
Yes.
Okay. So now is that going to be an issue when like, so for instance, like some of the assets that are in our code, they're linked to, or they're pointing to image folders. You know what I mean? So like,
yep.
Is that something we're gonna have to reorganize once we get into VS Code, or is there some procedure for that?
Maybe. I'm not saying you can't use folders at all. So like, for example, notice how I just have my PNGs all sitting up here at the root level in this folder. That's not ideal, right? Like, so I can still go and create an images folder and drag my images into it. There's nothing stopping me from creating the folders. The issue I was trying to avoid earlier, though, is we didn't want to take our code and put one big folder up at the top of our GitHub repo. We wanted the top of our GitHub repo to have index.html, styles.css. We wanted to have code at the top, and then it could have subfolders underneath it. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, that definitely answers the question. Yeah,
okay,
thanks.
Great. Other people, questions? Arturo?
So I'm in my VS Code, and on the bottom it says Git not found. Install it or configure it using the git.path settings. Do I just download Git?
You should have Git installed on your Mac. Is anybody having that same problem?
I do.
Me too.
So for people that are getting that same problem, hold on. Let's have Artrell, do you mind sharing your screen and driving us through what you're seeing so we can all follow along?
Okay.
Let me stop sharing.
Right here.
Yeah, click download. You go ahead and click down. Oh, this is the Git extension for VS Code, probably.
Yep.
Artrell, do me a favor. Oh, press Command spacebar and type in terminal. Hit enter. Yep.
Oh, it's on my other screen. I'll move it over.
Thank you. type in Git and hit enter. Okay. All right. Hit cancel. Everybody else, including you, Archel, click that download Git button. Let's see where this takes us.
All right, so I'm closing this right here.
Sure. Yep. Download Git. Oh, so it's just going to pop open a window. All right, that's not going to work for us. So everybody that doesn't have Git currently installed, let's go with the method that Artrell was about to do. So go and open up Terminal. So if you don't have Terminal open, that would be Command and Spacebar to get the Spotlight open.
Quick question.
Mhm.
Could we get it from over here in VS Code?
It's not a VS Code plugin. It's a program that you want installed on your Mac.
Okay.
But that is a good point. If it was an extension, that would have worked. So Command Space, yep, to open up Terminal, type in Terminal and hit enter. Type in the word Git and hit enter. This should pop up. Click install. Agree to the this is unfortunate.
I think this is the one where it looks like it's going to take forever, but doesn't it usually go quick?
Yeah.
Ooh.
I think what happened is Mac stopped bundling Git at a certain point, just like they dropped Python 2. I forget when that was, but hopefully this will go a little quicker. If we had, Latonia, if we had brew installed, I would tell people to brew install Git. That would be the fastest way, but well, I guess this isn't going to be that bad.
Yeah. Should we just go the homebrew route or? I do remember this taking like overnight for at least one person, so it could go long, but generally it's like super quick. So it just depends.
We do need brew for the next time that we all meet, but I don't know. Other people that are installing Git, are you having the same progress?
It says 20 hours for me. So
okay.
I'm down to 8 minutes.
Now it
Mine
moved to
says-
19. So.
Mine says
Point of
111 hours. Yeah, mine says 111 hours.
All right.
Wait, so why would that take so long? 111 hours?
This is Apple's way of communicating progress to us. It's trying to set our expectations extremely high, and then it's gonna drop them real low. Let's see.
It might go
Software
through.
is installed. Okay, click done. Let's see in the terminal. Can you now type in Git and hit enter? Sorry, back in that terminal window that you had open behind you. Yep. Type in Git. Enter. There we go. We got it. Git installed. Great. All right.
Nathan, what do we click on? We click on homebrew? No.
So were you able to open up VS Code?
Yes.
In the project?
I have VS Code. I have VS Code.
Mm-hmm. Are you able to see the files that you upload to GitHub? Did it open up a project with the code that you uploaded on GitHub? Maybe. Not sure.
Let me review. Let me go back.
Fair
Sorry.
enough.
Do you want me to stop sharing now?
Yes, you're all set. You've got Git installed, so you're all good.
Mine is still downloading. So do I just let it, or do you want me to stop?
Yes, definitely keep downloading it and letting it install.
Okay. I'll wait for another
Yeah.
2 hours.
Yeah, I'm sorry, folks. I didn't realize that that Git didn't come with Max anymore. That was
Actually,
definitely
time is coming down. It started with 20 hours for me. Now it came to 46 minutes. So it's
Okay.
downloading. So
Okay. Okay, great. So we really need Git to keep on going. I want to make sure that everybody that doesn't have Git installed is able to start installing it. So just as a reminder, let me share my screen and show people what we did in order to start installing Git. So I want everybody to go into Spotlight. Again, to get into Spotlight, you press Command Spacebar, start typing in terminal, hit enter, get a window that looks kind of like this. Type in the word Git, hit enter. And if you type in Git, and when you hit enter, if it pops up something asking you to install software, you should say yes and install whatever it is. All right. We've got a couple people that are going to be continuing to install Git. I'm going to go ahead. We're going to have time to practice this. I'm going to go ahead and move forward. For the people that are still installing Git, just let it keep going and just watch my screen for right now, and I'll do the driving. We'll have plenty of practice, so nobody's going to fall behind here. But just follow along with me on my screen for now. All right. So once you have Git installed and you're looking at a window kind of like this, you can click Open in VS Code, and it should open up Visual Studio. And over on the left, you should see the code that you uploaded to GitHub. These files over here on the left, let me delete this folder. These files over on the left correspond with the files that I uploaded to GitHub. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to index.html, and I stole this code from Max. I plagiarized all this code. I am cheating 100% off of his portfolio. So I'm just going to rip him off. And instead of Max's portfolio, this is Nathan Evans. So I'm going to change the title. What else? Anybody else know how I can effectively cheat off of Max? What else I might want to go and update?
Probably that mathflix.html. Oh wait, no. What is that? What's the maxflix.html? Is that a different file, not the portfolio?
Oh, good point. Yeah, Max is gonna tell. Gonna be able to tell pretty easily if there's a file in here called maxflix. So I should find where maxflix is. Okay, there's a maxflix.png in here. I'm not sure. Oh gosh, Max is everywhere in here. He's got all these code pens. Well, okay.
Change the file name from the Max PNG to your name.
Yeah, I should do that. So Nathan Flicks. Here is a header tag. I'm going to change that from Max Matthews to Nathan Evans. And I'm not an all-around badass. I'm pretty okay. And then, oh, here's another Max Matthews. All right, I'm going to change all this to Nathan Evans. His email's in there. Okay, no big deal. Anyways, so I've made some changes to my code, right? I'm trying to do my best to steal his portfolio and make it mine. All right, I'm going to go back and look at this. Now, this has just happened automatically for me. I didn't do anything other than in this window, I made sure that I pressed save. But over here in GitHub Desktop, you'll notice that GitHub has been watching what I've been doing the whole time, and it's tracked all of the changes that I've made. Every single line of code that I've changed in this file, it's paid attention to, which is super cool, because as you start getting into writing really advanced code, with GitHub watching, you're going to be able to look back in time and see what kind of changes you've made, and if you've introduced any changes that you didn't intend to. So in your in your code, if you're not installing Git right now, in your code, go ahead and make a couple changes. Just edit a couple lines here and there to see what I'm talking about. Hit save. And then when you come back over to the GitHub desktop window, you should see a screen similar to this. Okay. And then down here in the bottom left is the same two boxes that you saw when we were playing with the GitHub website. There's a short description and a long description. This is again a chance for you to document what it is that your changes are actually doing. Let me blow this up a little bit so you can see this better. So right now it has update index.html. That's kind of vague, so I'm going to change it and say I'm ripping off the code that Max wrote to make it my own. I'm going to hit commit to main. And now I'm back at this home screen again, except there's one difference. I now have this blue button that says push origin. I'm going to click that. Get a little spinner up here in the top. Okay, now I'm going to click on view on GitHub. And you'll notice if I go back to GitHub, there's some text up here, deluxe. I'm ripping off the code that Max wrote to make it my own. And if I click on index.html and check out the file, sure enough, GitHub now knows about the changes that I made to this code.
And it should say update index HTML, correct?
It can say update index.html if you just left the message in there and you didn't add one yourself, which is totally okay. Again, those messages are for you. If you want to leave them vague and you don't want to enter something, that's on you. If you want to add stuff for yourself, which is what I would generally suggest, then feel free to do so. But if you just click commit main, then that's perfect. All right, questions? I know the people that are still installing Git are probably chomping at the bit to catch up, but for the people that already had Git installed, any troubles making a commit and pushing it up? All right, I'm going to go ahead and call it here and take any questions that people may still have. But I'm going to call it a little bit early tonight, first because it's Halloween, but mostly because we need to have Git installed in order to really go any further. So go ahead and call it here for tonight. And let off a little bit early. We will catch up on what we didn't get to tonight, tomorrow, without any real issues. Anybody got any final questions or concerns or thoughts?
I do
before
have
we
one quick
break?
question.
Huh?
Well, I have one quick question. So I pushed it and I went back to my GitHub and I don't see that change listed the way I wrote it in the description, if you will.
Mm-hmm. Let me go check it out. So the cool thing is because you pushed it, anybody can go and check out the changes that you made. So I'm going to go and click on your repo. And sure enough, you have a commit update index.html. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that, see what you did. Yeah, you updated some code. Is that what you intended to do?
Yes. Okay. Up top, I see what I wrote from the description. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. This update index.html. So I think you picked the box below. That is the, yeah. So there's two boxes. There's the short and then there's the extended. And as you've already picked out, but I'm saying this for the rest of class. Those two boxes change where the text goes when you fill this out. So if you use the short box, it will end up on this tagline. If you use the extended box, it will fill out below. I tend to tell people to use the short box, even if you're going to do a long message, only because the short box is what appears on everything. Like if we go and click on the home page, you'll notice that that's what you see here. That's what you also see on the individual files that get changed.
Okay.
Just another side note with that is sometimes you'll just need to refresh your page. Like the changes are there, but you can't see it because you just need to refresh the page.
Mm-hmm. Right. Sometimes you just have a browser window that you left open. Good point. Okay. Anybody have other questions or thoughts, concerns?
Thanks for explaining that also well.
Yeah, thank you all for being so patient with me. It's kind of slow getting started because we kind of all have to be moving in the same direction and have the same software installed. Otherwise, we can't really build off of it. So, okay, well, if that's it, then we'll go ahead and break a little bit early tonight and see everybody tomorrow for more work on Git.
Nate, do you mind just staying on until mine loads? It's
Sure.
less than a minute. And then
Yeah, absolutely.
I can share my screen on what I should do next.
Absolutely.
Hey, can we just do a head count real quick? The folks that are still here, who doesn't have Git yet? Brandon, Exona, Sit, Kalai, did yours get in? Kayla, Kalai, I'm sorry,
I got it, so it is
Sid.
installed, yeah.
Wonderful, okay, cool.
Yeah,
By the way,
if folks are
you
still
will-
installing, yeah, feel free to hang out. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say for folks that are still installing, feel free to hang out. I'm more than happy to help you get installed. I'm gonna stop sharing and stop recording.